program have been themed, how the railroad was run back then versus today. This episode really has no theme, it's just what I've caught over the last couple weeks. And to tell you the truth, there's some interesting stuff in here, but that's just how it goes. This really is kind of a collection of what you'd see, because I've seen it along the New River over a couple weeks. Now, a lot of this stuff, like I said, it's interesting, and then there will be some periods where it's just the same humdrum thing. It happens that way. These things go in cycles, right? Sometimes you have heritage units galore, and then sometimes there ain't a single one on the whole railroad. It's just how things are. But that's the beauty of it, if you ask me. It's fun to see what you catch out there. Now, for me, I'm kind of in the know of what's happening on the railroad. I'm a member of several groups that give heads ups and say, hey, here's what might be coming this way. So I kind of have a heads up on something. Some things still sneak up on me. It happens to me all the time. A lot more than you think. But there's still something special about just going out there and seeing what you see. And that's what this episode's going to be about. Now, like I said, I had some heads ups on some of this stuff, but some of them I didn't. So let's head out to the tracks and see what we can see here. And you might notice a pattern. And I'll tell it to you as we get further on into the episode, because I want to see if you pick up on it. Because I didn't pick up on it until I was putting this thing together, and, it kind of surprised me. Let's go. We'll start with a heritage unit. CSX number 1972, the Family Line System Heritage Unit to be specific. The Family Lines, was interesting, and while we wait for the train, let's take a few minutes to learn about the Family Lines. The Family Lines was not an operating railroad as much as it was a marketing gimmick. It was meant to compete with the Southern Railway system, which at the time stretched from Washington, D.C. to New Orleans, over to St. Louis, Memphis, and up to Louisville and Cincinnati on one railroad. The Family Lines was meant to challenge that by basically saying, yeah, you can ship over one railroad with them, but all these railroads are essentially one big family, so it won't be that much different if you ship with us. Technically, they were all one big family. All the railroads that were part of the Family Lines were owned by Seaboard Coastline Industries, those being the Seaboard Coastline itself, the Louisville and Nashville, the Georgia Railroad, the Clinchfield, and the Atlanta and West Point. The combined Family Lines offered routes to the same places the Southern did, as well as down to Miami and up to Chicago. I got word the engine was coming on an eastbound grain train, and even though it wasn't leading, I didn't really care. I wanted to see it, so I went for it. I came down to my old favorite South Fayette for this one. Why? Well, like I said, it's an old favorite. I love it when trains come out of the tree tunnel here, and I probably always will. For me, it works in just about every season. Plus, the way CSX designed their heritage units, you kind of have to get a side shot to really do it right. Some people may disagree with me, but I like CSX's design, and I have no problem filming them like this. Maybe because most of my shots are from the side anyway, but I still like the design. It's different, and I think that makes it noteworthy. About a week later, I was back at South Fayette for another grain train, and this time I remember what the train symbol was so I can tell you where it's going and where it came from. This is G257, loaded grain from Lafayette, Indiana to Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Today the train has 2 Canadian National locomotives pulling, the second being a locomotive you won't find on the CSX roster, an EMD SD70M-2 built in 2009. Don't ask me how 2 Canadian locomotives ended up on this grain train out of Indiana, because I have no clue, but I'm really glad they did. I brought my second camera with me when I filmed this train, and to me it kind of gives you another reason why I love South Fayette. It's right below the New River Gorge Bridge. So we're going to take another look at this train, but we're going to have the bridge in the background, and I want you to think about this for a second. There are 2 Canadian locomotives on this train a long way from home, rolling under one of the landmarks of the U.S. National Park. In late April, I went with my friend Colton to Prince, and we spent the morning there, and, well, we heard a train working down in Quinamont pretty much as soon as we got there, and I'll let the train crew tell you what they're going to do.
CSX FH train dispatcher Joshua Lasseter, over. FHR 21429, want to report to the switch from Old Yard number 1 line and lock back, normal position 1 to 1, and also Laurel Creek line and locked restored 1 to 1, over. Laurel Creek and Old Yard line and lock back 1 to 1, over. That's correct, and we'd like to head west toward Thurman, grab us another couple cars. Yes, and they're coming to you okay on the switch there at Loop Creek, over. I understand, okay, permission on switch there at Loop Creek, and if we could get permission by the door, we'll be in there and out as soon as we can. Thank you. Fish train dispatch, Joshua.
Allow me to translate. What the R214 crew did was pretty much told the dispatcher you can use number 1 track now for mainline movement. All the switches that connect to it are lined and locked for mainline movement. What they also told them they were going to do, or rather asked permission to do so, is go to Thurman, get some cars, and bring them back to Quinamont to be put in an outbound manifest. About an hour and 15 minutes later, R214 came back with a couple empty tank cars as well as that gondola. We're using the second camera to get the train using multiple angles. I don't like panning with an engine here in Prince. It almost never works out the way I want it to. So a second camera offers a little bit of flexibility without having to pan.
21429, eastbound number 1 track, got clear, western free.
This isn't the first time I've caught R214. This is back in November 2021, and this is what it looks like when they come back across the Thurman Bridge. They've only got 1 car with them this time, but it's the same basic move.
Yes, sir. Bring up first, there's a lot of there. Dispatcher. Back on 1, I'll get down to the zebra. Back on 1, down zebra.
And this is R2-14 in March 2022 going back to Quinnamon. They've just dropped off RJ Corman's new, at that point, SD40-2 that's no longer here. Alright, now let's see if you picked up on that pattern I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. This is our last train of the day, and we haven't seen a loaded coal train, have we? Yeah, it surprised me too, but that's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes that's all you see, and sometimes you can't buy a loaded coal train, it feels like. I'm happy to catch this one, though I love seeing empty coal trains. This is E201, and these from Newport News, Virginia to Danville, West Virginia. This train will leave the main line at St. Albans and head down to Danville down the Coal River sub. And then it will load, and where it loads I really don't know, but I'm happy to catch it. We're back to the main camera now for one more shot of E201. This is our last shot of the day. And you know what? I absolutely love this shot. I set it up to be like you were waiting on the platform as a passenger in a freight train rolls by. And I'll probably do it again because I really like this shot. See if you do too. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the program and would like to watch past episodes or check out what's going on here on the Newva Network, I invite you to like our Facebook page. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, use our Roku channel, watch NRN.com, and you can check us out on cable here in Fayette County. Channel 4 on the Plateau, Channel 17 down in the Valley. I also encourage you to share this program with those who you think might like it. It doesn't have to be just a rail fan. It can be anyone here in Fayette County or anyone who's visited Fayette County and come across the train or something like that. Because here's the thing. The trains today might only be interesting to me and a few other people, and that's fine. But the locations mean so many to so many others, right? They mean so much to so many others. There may be a memory that someone you know has of being at a certain location while filming a train, and you might unlock a family story that you never heard of before because you showed in this episode. I'm not saying that will happen, but I'm saying it could be a window to learning a little bit of thing or two about your family or about the area because of this, right? That's part of the fun of this show, is me being able to share with you what I know, but also potentially giving you a platform to get out and learn a little bit more about the area through whatever means you have necessary. So I invite you to share the program with those who you think might enjoy it. So, once again, I'm Lucas Berry, reminding you that